Shalom, shalom. Once again, it is your brew, Brian Shemayim, back with another one. As you can see in the thumbnail in the picture, we got the Holy Bible 1611 edition, King James Version. And we are actually going to be going into that. We're going to go into the first chapter of it, Genesis. Today's lesson plan is about that first bright light. Is there two suns? That's going to be the name of this video. Is there two suns? I was asked a question one time by a customer. He always used to come in and try to throw contradictions. He said the Bible was a big contradiction. He would always try to throw contradictions. But I read all of these extra Bible books, so I understood these parts a little bit better than he did. All praises to God for giving me the wisdom. Now, on that note, we're going to go into Genesis and we're going to describe, because God says he created day and night, and then he talks about creating the sun, the stars, and everything else. On that note, let's get into it. Okay, so we're going to start off in Genesis 1:1. It says, "In the beginning God created the heaven and the earth, and the earth was without form and void, and darkness was upon the face of the deep. And the Spirit of God moved upon the face of the waters. And God said, Let there be light. And there was light. And God saw the light, that it was good. And God divided the light from the darkness. And God called the light day, and the darkness he called night. And the evening and the morning were the first day." So we know that the light and the darkness was created on the first day. And we're going to go into more detail because we're going to hop down into the next part where people say there's a contradiction, right? And we're going to go over that part of where it's supposedly a contradiction and then break it down with the Bible to explain, and then go into the extra books to give extra content towards this message. Let's get it. All right, so now we're going into Genesis 1, and we're going to go to the 13th verse, right? And it says, "In the evening and the morning were the third day," right? So we know now the third day is complete, and we're starting on the fourth, right? And it says, "And God said, Let there be lights in the firmament of heaven to divide the day from the night, and let them be for signs and for seasons, and for days and for years, and let them be for lights in the firmament of the heaven to give light upon the earth. And it was so. And God made two great lights, the greater light to rule the day, which is what we call the sun, right? That counts our years, our days, and our hours, right? And the lesser light to rule the night. And he made the stars also. And God set them in the firmament of heaven to give light upon the earth, and to rule over the day and over the night, and to divide the light from the darkness. And God saw that it was good. In the evening and the morning were the fourth day," right? So that proves that all of this was done on the fourth day, right? And we saw that day one, there was a light and a darkness created. So the question is, what is that light? What is that light that was created? Because is there two suns? And we're going to get into that now. Let's get it. Okay, so this is John 8, verse 12. And it says, "Then spake Yeshua," or who some call Jesus, right? "Then spake Yeshua again unto them, saying, I am the light of the world. He that followeth me shall not walk in darkness, but shall have the light of life." Right? Let's get into this next section. This is John 12, verse 44. "And Yeshua cried and said," or Jesus, who some call Jesus, right? "Yeshua cried and said, He that believeth on me, believeth not on me, but on him that sent me. And he that seeth me, seeth him that sent me. I've come a light into the world, that whosoever believeth on me should not abide in darkness. And if any man hear my words and believe not, I judge him not. For I came not to judge the world, but to save the world. He that rejecteth me and receiveth not my words hath one that judgeth him. And the word that I have spoken, the same shall judge him in the last day." Right? So once again, we going over how Christ is calling himself the light. And we're going to go into one more scripture to back that up right now. Okay, so this is John 9, verse 5. It says, as long as I am in the world, I am the light of the world. And this is Yeshaya speaking again. He says, as long as I am in the world, I am the light of the world. Right? So we now have established that Yeshaya is the light. He was the light at the beginning. And there's normally no way to double prove something, right? There's no way to show a circumstance without going into the Bible's books. But today we're going to go into the extra biblical books and show how all of these things ring true. Let's get it. This is the Forgotten Books of Eden. We're going to go into the first book of the Forgotten Books of Eden in chapter 1. And we're going to use this to establish the bright nature that Adam them had. This is when he's first leaving the garden, right? And here it goes. It says, he left the garden and saw the broad earth spread before them, covered with stones, large and small, and with sand. They feared and trembled. And they fell upon their faces from the fear that came upon them. And they were as dead, because whereas they had hereto been in a garden land, beautifully planted with all manner of trees, they now saw themselves in a strange land, which they knew not and had never seen. And because at this time they were filled with the grace of a bright nature, and they had not hearts turned toward earthly things. Therefore had God put pity on them, and when he saw them fallen before the gate of the garden, he sent his word unto the father Adam and Eve, and raised them from their fallen states. Okay, so they at the gates begging to get in, just falling dead at the gate because they can't get back into the garden. And they've seen this world, and it's strange to them. It's weird because they were just in a garden which was protected. It had that light that we just read about in Genesis. Now we're going to go into another chapter. We're going to go into chapter 12 next. And this is going to break down the first time he saw darkness, to prove that there was a light there, because we're going to go into the first time he saw darkness and the first time he saw light, to prove that Adam didn't know what light or darkness was because he was protected from that in the garden. He didn't see the world. He didn't know what the world looked like previous to exiting the garden, to being kicked out of the garden after the sin. Let's get it. All right, this is the Lost Books of Eden, chapter 12, and this is verse 7, right? And it says, then Adam arose in the cave and said, O God, wherefore has light departed from us, and darkness come over us? Wherefore doest thou leave us in this long darkness? Why wilt thou plague us in this darkness, O Lord? Where was it eerie it came upon us? It says, where was it ere that it came upon us? It is such that we cannot see each other. So they had never been in darkness. They can't even see each other anymore. For so long as we were in the garden, we neither saw nor even knew what darkness is. I was not hidden from Eve, neither was she hidden from me, until now that she cannot see me. And no darkness came upon us to separate us from each other. But she and I were both in one bright light. And I saw her, and she saw me. Yet now, since we come into this cave, darkness has come upon us, and parted us asunder, so that I do not see her, and she does not see me. You see, so Adam was shocked by this. You see how he mentioned that bright light, that same light that was created to separate the day and the night in the beginning, before the sun was put up, right? So now we're going to go into this last section, which is going to be the Lost Books of Eden, chapter 16, because we're going to go into what happened when Adam first felt the sun, to prove that that light that was on him was not the sun. The light that was on him was like what we went into earlier. It was the light of Christ shining on him. And this is a great read because, like I say, Adam died so many times and tried to kill himself before, and Christ kept raising him up, right? And he made that promise to Adam for his future generation of children, which is the same promise for us. He even promised that he would come and die die for his people, for his children. So let's get into this next one. Okay, this is the Forgotten Books of Eden, chapter 16, starting at verse 3, right? It says, Then Adam began to come out of the cave, and when he came out of the mouth of it, and it stood and turned his face toward the east and saw the sun in glowing rays, and felt the heat thereof on his body, and he was afraid of it, and thought in his heart that this flame came forth to plague him. He wept then, and smote upon his breast, and fell upon the earth on his face, and he made his request, saying, O Lord, plague me not, neither consume me, nor yet take away my life from this earth. For he thought the sun was God. Inasmuch as while he was in the garden and heard the voice of God and the sound he made in the garden, and feared him, Adam never saw the brilliant light of the sun, neither did the flaming heat thereof touch his body. Right? So this was his first experience with heat, with sun, with darkness, because the light that he was shadowed in, the reason he had never known darkness, that light was Yeshua. It was Christ. Like I was saying, that light was Yeshua, and there was never no darkness. So when a person goes into this thinking, is there two suns? What is this light before the sun? It was Yeshua. It was Christ. Like he said, the Spirit of God moved upon the earth. This was from Genesis 1, right? The Spirit of God is, we know the Spirit of God that was in Christ was Christ, right? So the Spirit of God moved upon the earth, and God said, let there be light, and it was done, right? So he became the light of the world. It was not a sun. It's not two different suns. It was him. And that is one of the important reasons I like going into these extra books. They help put things in perspective, give you an idea of what they were like. Could you imagine Adam losing paradise, being able to hear the angels and the singing of God, being in a bright natured being, immortal, right? And then losing it, gaining mortality, feeling heat, knowing darkness, understanding fear. All these things were new to him. Seeing a landscape, a brutal, barren landscape that he didn't even know existed. It was all shocking and crazy to him. He was terrified. Thank y'all for tuning in to this video. On that note, I just want to say Kaula Ahaya by Hashem Yeshaya. I hope y'all learned something. I will be going into these extra books more often. Shalom Barakatah. Until the next time, peace out.